With the third episode of Ted Lasso recently being released, Season 3 Episode 4 is next in line, and it's looking as though it's going to be a big one. Titled Big Week, it's going to contain a game that has a lot at stake for personal reasons, but also for the fans. With the stories being established for the season, I think there's a pretty clear pathway we can paint for the next episode of the show. So with that, I thought I'd give my theories and predictions and share what I think is going to happen next. So let's get into it. Here is Ted Lasso Season 3 Episode 4 Theories Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The main plot of Episode 4 is something that I feel is going to be at the front and center of the next episode, and could be one of the fiercest of the entirety of the season. It's going to be Ted and Nate's first face-off since the double crossing and betrayal, and it looks as though it's going to get lively. Rather than an episode that spans several weeks like episode 3 of the show, I feel it's going to be more focused on one week and contain one fixture. This will be West Ham vs AFC Richmond at the London Stadium. This is judging by the image that was released for the episode and also the scenes that were taken from the trailer and the behind the scenes video too. This is obviously a big week for the personal reason of Ted meeting Nate again for the first time since he left the club and slandered him to the press. But it's also an important one for the fans as well, because of where Richmond currently sit in the table. At the end of episode 3, before the upcoming fixture against West Ham, the team is sat in third position, 2 points behind West Ham in second, and also 2 points behind Manchester City in first as well. So Richmond have the opportunity to beat West Ham and go second in the league, but also if City lose, then they have the potential to sit in first place of the table, meaning Ted would have huge success and be defying the odds in that brief moment. It doesn't guarantee them the win, as there would be a long way to go, but it would show that Richmond were heading in the right direction. Judging by some clips in the trailer, it looked as though the players were not going to be holding back in the way that they were playing, and it seems as though their emotions were going to be getting the better of them. As we saw when they were walking out onto the pitch, they were looking over at Nate and giving him dirty looks, and we also saw that they were playing quite dirty on the pitch and fouling West Ham players, which then looked like a brawl erupted on the pitch too. So there's definitely a lot at stake, and the main plot of the episode looks like it's going to be the most interesting one in recent times. Let's take a look at some of the individual stories for the other characters. Jamie. With Jamie looking as though he was letting Zava's arrival into the team get inside of his head and impacting his enthusiasm in the team, but also the confidence that he had, we saw Roy offer to help train Jamie outside of the training sessions within the team, something which brought the two people who were once enemies together for the first time in a long while. Within the overall trailer for Season 3, there was a clip of Roy turning up at Jamie's house during the early hours of the morning due to it being dark. This was something that we heard he would do at the end of episode 3, so I imagine this is going to be something that's going to be present within the next episode. I feel an internal rivalry is going to be brewing between Jamie and Zava, so I think that will continue to be developed in the next episode. There wasn't that much of Zava being utilized in the trailers for this season, and even in the behind the scenes look that was released. So I feel as though although he may be the hero right now, we could see Zava maybe get injured or get a red card and be banned for a few games. It could even be in the West Ham game that looks as though it's set to be lively, and it may mean that Jamie could step back up again, and with the training that he's had with Roy, he could be better than he's ever been and be a worthy replacement for the new signing Zava. I'd like that to happen, as Jamie does feel like a character that does want the overall team to perform well whilst also having his moments to be able to shine. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Roy and Keeley. During episode 3 of the show, it seemed as though despite how hard both Roy and Keeley wanted to be with one another even after breaking up, Keeley was starting to move on slightly quicker, with Shandy entering her life and providing a kind of distraction whilst also painting Roy in a negative light to her. We saw her completely walk past Roy when she was with him. I think this was a subtle hint at what is to come. We usually see Roy as the individual that's hard-faced and isn't usually prepared to let his emotions get the better of him, but I think we're going to see a different side to him in the next episode and for the remainder of the season. He's offered to help Jamie due to seeing that he was struggling mentally, and I believe we're also going to see him start to express that he wants to be with Keeley, something which feels as though will most certainly happen before the end of the season arrives. Trent and Collin. This is quite a serious story that they brought up in the most recent episode, and with the episode finishing with it being the focus, I feel we're going to see it being mentioned in the next episode too. Collin is in love with a man, and it's something that the rest of the team don't know. There are no openly gay footballers in the Premier League, so it's a subject that is quite serious that the show has decided to tackle. With Trent noticing both Collin and Michael at the end of the episode, and with a song that contains some ominous lyrics whilst providing a suspicious mood, I feel we could see the response of a story being in the press about Collin being gay, even though Trent isn't working as a journalist anymore and is instead writing a book on AFC Richmond. There's nothing to say that he couldn't leak the story anonymously. This could be something that occurs before the game against West Ham, and it could also add to the weight of the tempers being quite high. I hope this is something that Trent doesn't do though, because he's well and truly got on the good side of everybody, even Roy, who was completely against him when he first arrived. This is something that could cause a big storm in the show if it does happen though. Ted. With Ted, I feel it's pretty obvious which route he's taking at the moment. Obviously, he's involved in the West Ham game where he's going to be facing off with Nate, but also he's facing off with himself, which I think will be explored more. Maybe not in the next episode due to there being quite a serious relationship moment with Nate, but I believe the questioning over if he's going to stay in the UK after the season is going to be present. I also think that along with Ted facing Nate, we're also going to be seeing Rebecca facing Rupert, which also has the potential to get fiery and lively as well. I think next week's episode is going to be a good one that contains rivalries through and through, with a table-deciding game and an episode that will mark us 1/3 of the way through the season. I've got my hopes on Richmond winning and going above West Ham, but who knows, if Zava gets injured, it could ruin the run of form and they could slowly start dropping down the table, as he has been the saviour of the team. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good one that's got the emotional story that by now we're all so invested in, and the humour that's spread all throughout that never fails to put a smile on our faces. I can't wait to see what happens next. So, there you have it, Ted Lasso Season 3 Episode 4 Theories Explained. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What do you think is going to happen next? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.